me bougie, call me sensitive, but I want my day.
I remember my first car. It was in 1994 Honda Civic. And when I got that car, I thought I won the lottery. Why? Because I was walking out taking the bus.
You think about every little thing that we experience in life, and whether it's our environment, community, direct community, family, what we watch on TV, the music we hear, all those things affect how we're going to respond, what we're going to post. Like, that's insane.
And welcome back to Calling All Dads. I actually have a little bit of a surprise. So give me 1 second.
Episode 3. Episode 3. I'm like, dude, you're like literally going all the way downstairs. No. This is not an awkward way to open up a podcast at all. Oh, it's a bag. I wonder why.
Because a lot of you don't know, or maybe some of you do. It's actually somebody's birthday upcoming. And since I probably won't see him during the week, I decided to give it to him today.
Well, we'll keep this off the camera, but it's a very nice gift. One of my favorites. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, it's birthday. Well, let's do a timeline here. How's your Father's Day?
Father's Day was great, man. I got to spend it with my little sister, my older brother, the kids. That's all. That's what it's
you
about.
You went down
man.
there? They came up here.
I went over there, and then afterwards, we went and we met up with Kathy's parents because him and two of his cousins, they were putting up a fence on the side of their house, which is actually good because that's exactly what I want to do over here.
At Kathy's parents' house?
Yeah, so you know how in the backyard they had
that open area.
Yeah, they wanted it had a chain link fence there, but they have dogs now, and her dad, I know he's not gonna admit it. He said that he's been wanting to do it, but Matthew's scared to go to their backyard. So because you could see through it, and then I out of nowhere now all of a sudden he's like, no, we're gonna do it. So they knocked it down and they put up the other one, and now Matthew of course can enjoy the backyard with them. Yeah.
I mean,
see? Yo, wrapped around his little fingers, man.
He can ask for a car. That's what I'm trying to get my girls to do. They're very good at asking for money right now. So I'm like, well, here's ask for a car. You're not comfortable in the one we have. So you need a Range Rover, maybe? Throw it out there.
Just, a little something. Yeah. How was your Father's Day?
It was low key. It was nice. Again, really can't do much.
Exactly.
During COVID, so I was woken up to breakfast in bed.
Ooh.
The girls brought me some waffles, some eggs, some bacon.
Nice.
So that was good. A lot of eating, which I'm never gonna argue with. A lot of eating. We had breakfast. I honestly can't. I was stuffed off of breakfast. I can't remember if I had lunch. I definitely had dinner. What did I have for? I can't remember. There's so much food. I know I ended it with Cold Stone. And I was in pain. I was so full.
You were just like, that's it, guys.
Beautiful.
It's my time.
It was Father's Day. I was dad bod on full effect. It was awesome. But yeah, no, low key, definitely good. Like I said, I'd rather it this way every year.
Yeah.
Then honestly, I don't want to go out to eat.
No, I'm the same.
We had Olive Garden. That's what we had.
All right. So all right.
So that's why I was so full.
You're no, that's it.
I had waffles for breakfast, pasta for lunch.
Ooh.
What was that dinner?
It's all
again, it's still a blur. And it was like Sunday, so it was 2 days ago. Low key, good. Won't complain.
It was perfect.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember I woke up in the morning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go downstairs and make breakfast. And then I pick up Matthew. Matthew said, "Where you going?" And I'm like, "Going downstairs. I'm gonna make breakfast." She said, "No. I have to make breakfast." I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead, go make breakfast. She said, "But you can make coffee." I'm like, all right, well, coffee it is then, because I'm having coffee for breakfast, guys. But yeah, it was good, man. I had a great one.
Good. It was low key. Big thanks to everybody that contributed to
our Instagram
stories.
Yes,
I think that was awesome to get some of our own supporters and community involved in celebrating Father's Day. And keeping it that simple. Again,
yeah, of course.
Let's not use any terminology. Happy Father's Day. And that's about it.
Yeah. It was great, though. I needed it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to just be reminded.
Sometimes you need to feel like a queen. You know?
Yeah. Sometimes you need to put the crown on.
we want some love, too. That was awesome. And it's funny because I was looking back I'm at the second episode, and what was I pondering on? I was thinking about, we were talking about single mothers, so
Yeah.
I like to keep balance. This is one of those things where you can reflect, you can actively reflect on some of the things we touched on, and then kind of go back to it and revisit it, and kind of also kind of fill in what I feel we missed.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one of those things is definitely a shout out to those single dads, because I know we know
Oh,
we
yes.
have our own single dads in our own circle,
Yeah.
and they deserve just as much kudos. And since this is a dad-centric podcast specifically, I actually wanted to talk about the challenges of doing so. Maybe it would have been nice to invite him. We'll probably do so later down the line,
Okay.
when we build some traction here. But we always talk about, like, how hard is it for mothers, and out of our own experience,
yeah.
to take care of and raise children, let alone 1 to
Right,
5.
yeah, exactly.
And how hard that is for them to do it, let alone the complete challenges, given the biases that we know exist with fatherhood,
Yep.
for a dad to take on
Those kind of
both of those roles.
Yes.
Because you always see those posts, like, and
I
I'm not
know,
a fan. I'm
I
not
know,
a fan of
I
it.
know.
I'm not a fan
We
of
gotta
it.
address it here, yeah.
But I only saw one this year.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I only
yeah.
saw one. I'm not sure if it's because I unfollowed that many people between last Father's Year and this Father's Year. But you always have those, like, oh, happy Father's Day to the men who stepped up, which is a phrase I want to refrain from using.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the moms who play both roles.
Yeah.
You always see that. Only seen it once this year, but to their credit, they also do it. They did it the other way around for Mother's Day, where they credited the fathers to go
Yes,
both ways,
exactly.
as well. But again, focusing back on the main point, again, fathers who play both, I guess, the mother and dad
yeah,
role.
man.
And that, I was thinking about it, and I never really, I guess, thought about it.
Yeah, until you do, and then you're like,
Then
wow.
you're like,
Yeah, man. There was a point where me and Kathy had a conversation very similar to that. And it's like, yo, there's times, like, it's me and her, and there's times that we're both spent. Like, we're both like, oh, my God, at our wits' end, and, whatever. So I can only imagine what it is if, like, you're a single parent, let alone,
yeah, regardless of which side.
regardless of which side you're on. But, like, if you're a single parent and you're doing both of those jobs, and you're the one that has to constantly go get the food, go get the milk, make sure he's changed, make sure, they're changed, or they eat. Are they crying? Are they being fussy? He wakes up or she wakes up in the middle of the night, and it's like you're the only one, and you have to constantly be going. It's like, yo, man, look,
That's a 24/7 job,
Yeah.
literally.
that you deserve all the praise in the world. Like, if it's somebody that does the post about, shout out to the moms that are,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, absolutely, yo, you are 110% right. Yeah. I don't feel any type of way about it. I don't particularly like it, because it's kind of like,
Yeah, I'm not like don't do that.
No.
But I'm also like, come on, you have to.
just let him have his day.
Yeah.
To the good dads. I'm not saying, like, if
Yeah, and that's why I think those posts come from
yeah,
slight experience. And so, I mean, that same term that was coined, like, for the dads who stepped up, like, who
It's
who
not
med it think that it had to be stepped up
stepping
versus
up.
just
Yeah,
step up to the dads who are being dads. Like,
yeah. Like, come on, like, no, like, yo, if you're in the role, that's your day. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I think it should be that simple. But again, I think it's part of what we're trying to do, and what the conversation we try to bring to the table is it's keeping it at that. Like, again, humans will be humans in general.
Absolutely, yes.
So yes, people will have bad experiences on both sides, but let's just keep the celebration to who the celebration is for. It's like for Christmas, that's the birth of Christ. We're like, and shout out to the other babies who were born. Like, no, that's Jesus' day. Sorry. Yes, there was other people born on that day, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but that's Jesus' day. That's
what
Christmas.
it is. Yeah.
So it's the same kind of concept where don't, and it could be
Like, don't try to take the shine away from them.
Yeah, and it could be not malicious.
No, of course
and I
not,
understand that as well. But I think we should be more conscious about it.
Yeah,
more so than ever, just because. Again, I think that's part of the negativity, and again, not that it's uber negative, but that's part of the thing that's feeding into, again, what men hear,
Exactly.
what those kids hear, what I've heard growing up, and things of that nature. Where again, we come to of age where it's our turn, and these are the things that we have circulating our mind.
Yeah.
versus like, okay, Father's Day was his Father's Day. It wasn't like, okay, I have a father who stepped up. Like,
Yeah, man.
that's not how I want to.
And you know what? And I hate to say this because, like, you know what? The guy that I'm going to talk about right now, he actually is a phenomenal father.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, he works very, very hard for his family. He provides. He does everything, and he's actually the one that I talked to you about. I won't say his name because I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
and
really allowed to.
we'll keep everybody
Yeah.
incognito,
But
anonymous.
but yeah, no, it's like a huge shout out to him. Like I was talking to him on Father's Day, and I wanted to get him in on the Instagram story. So I personally sent him a message like, "Hey, send me a video, you know, whatever."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you know, I actually didn't even hear it. I heard it from the kitchen from his wifey, and then I guess like his daughter, because like you know whatever they didn't talk about it. Like, I guess she didn't know, but it was like it's like a really like rough feeling. It's like yo, you know what, you especially like of all days, like on that day, you deserve the praise. You know what I mean?
Agree.
And I mean that like specifically for him because like I know all the things that he does for his family, and like I wish that it would like happen differently. But I made it a point of myself like to tell him like yo, you know what, like you're still a great dad. Like it doesn't change anything. You know, go celebrate. Still enjoy it. I absolutely you deserve it 110%.
Yeah.
You know, but it is something where it's like, you know what, somebody's so great, you know, still didn't even hear it, you know, the way that they should have, you know.
And that's tough. And I think that's we're gonna explore a lot of the male aspect of emotions and I guess the things that maybe we don't want to admit sometimes we want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'm pretty sure he didn't tell them that.
of course not. I don't.
But why?
We're not those kind of creatures. You get me? That
Exactly.
it's not.
It would
normal.
be frowned upon. It'd be like, oh no, why are you saying that? You're not supposed to be.
It's not
you're supposed to be
normal.
macho.
You know,
That's not supposed to bother
yeah. Why are you acting like a girl? Why are you acting like a
Yeah.
fill in the blank? But
Exactly.
and then that's the conversation where hopefully we could bring forth where, I mean, I'll call me bougie, call me sensitive, but you know, I want my day, especially if
Absolutely.
you know, again, if I'm being present, and again, we won't measure. It's not to like, okay, I'm uber great dad. That's objective.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, one person might think I'm an okay dad. You know, one other person might think I'm a great dad. We won't play it onto whatever level dad you are. But if you're there and again you're present,
Exactly.
that's your day. And the reason why I thought specifically about it, not only because we talked about, you know, our growing up and the strong female figures we had in our lives.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking about it from a male perspective, like again, not only doing all the work that I guess maybe I give women credit to already because again the pains and pressures
dude.
of
Yeah, man.
pregnancy and then having the emotional aspect. But then for a guy, like again, I think that emotional aspect is just so difficult for us to touch on and for us
Absolutely.
to replace a woman in that sense.
In that sense, yeah.
That's what when I thought about saying, I'm just like, that must be wild bringing up a child, regardless male or female, and having to not only, you know, do the work, but again being in this world that we are now with
man. And where you got to see it from like a different perspective.
And-
Like, you got to talk to them differently. You
yeah,
got to,
it's not that you can't. You have to play both sides where you have that hard love, but you also have like that mom love,
man, absolutely.
and that's wild to me because that's tough. Like
That is tough. Listen, I gotta say, between me and Kathy, at least in our dynamic, I'm definitely like I'm raising Matthew to be like a boy. Like it's like, you know, I play rough with him. You know, I like to do things like that. But when it's like, oh, you know, like he'll grab his phone and be like, mama, or whatever. He doesn't say, dad. He says,
Yeah,
mama. Why? Because
that's
he wants
exactly.
that you know, that attention, that affection. Like he needs that. And Kathy, I give her I can't give her enough credit, man. Like she does everything she has to, and then some, for him.
And that's just it. That's that example
right
that you
there.
gave right there. Where again, if you're hurt, because clear example, Samara got hurt the other day. She scraped her knee. You saw.
I remember. Yeah. You
So
guys
she
came
scraped her
over
knee.
and
She had her whole leg wrapped up pretty much. You know, when she fell, like I'm very in all of my as a male as how I've grown up and how I've learned to handle situations. I never panic. It's almost like, okay, assess the situation. Okay, got a scrape. Is it bad? Boom, boom, bam,
Exactly.
bam.
Yeah,
Keep it
yeah,
moving.
yeah.
So, you know, when I see my girls get hurt, again, analyze the situation. Cool. You know, I try to calm them down versus sometimes what I feel is that emotional part of it, enabling them to kind of cry more.
it out. Yeah.
Which, again, is just as acceptable as, you know, sucking it up and keeping
Yeah,
it moving.
yeah.
But that's just the way I approach it because again, like I want to show my kids like, hey, that's the smallest of cuts you'll probably experience in your life. There's going to be bigger ones than that, and I need you to mentally be prepared and be able to see the difference. Like, hey,
Yeah.
but in the same respect, like they can still see that through however they want to vent it, even if that's crying.
Yeah.
So I picked her up. I'm just more so calming down. It's okay. Blah blah blah. She's like yelling off, like you would think I was spanking. Nice. And it was outside too. So then people were watching.
And everybody's like,
what's going on? Calm down, Samara. I don't want to go to jail. Like this is not the time. So we bring her upstairs, and then of course Joanna jumps in, and she's like, "No, it's okay. You're okay."
Yes.
That softer side
Exactly.
of trying to calm them down. And again, that's that balance again that we can both provide because we're both there.
Yeah.
And it's great when both parents are there, but when it's not, like how do you balance that?
How different is that? How do you go from, hey, you know what, suck it up, to but come here, like
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I know,
like
it's the worst cut in the world.
or do you like pick and choose a situation where you're like, okay, this one you're gonna suck it up, and then the next one, like, do you have a graph? Do you have some type of
You do every other, or
and these are questions I genuinely have. Like, as funny as it is,
Yeah.
that's a tough situation. Again, whether it's single mom, single dad, to balance.
Of course.
And I specifically say single dad because of the bias that we have of males not being sensitive.
It's like that view. It's like, oh no, males aren't sensitive. Like no, they're hard workers. They're warriors. They're which in all reality, I mean, it is a fair assessment to that extent. But it's like, men can also be vulnerable. Men can also have emotions and show signs of like breaking, like, and that's something that, like, honestly, I never understood growing up, because obviously the way I was raised, it was like, no, warrior, mentality is like, you have to be a fighter. You can't show weakness. If you show an emotion, it's like, oh no, you're the weak one. Like, you're being a little girl about it. Like, you got to suck it up. But now it's like, I look at it and it's like, yo, you know what? It's all right to have those emotions. It's all right to feel like you're not perfect. Like, you don't have everything figured out. And I feel like that's a real big issue, not only amongst men, but like fathers especially. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to feel like you can't provide for your family. You don't want to feel like you can't do enough. And it's like, look, it's okay to not have it all figured out. I think that's my personal
I agree. I think that's just life. And I think, especially now with social media, and having so many other lives to look at.
Absolutely.
And obviously, similar to what I said in episode 2, having that life highlight where, again, Instagram is for the most part,
dude, the highlight,
the sunflowers and the ice cream.
Exactly.
It's not the storms
Nope.
and the thorns of life, And I think having that exposure and seeing that, and then always trying to put yourself in the midst of that, and seeing where you're at, and again seeing if you can provide, especially like the way I compare it to, or can I say at least used to compare it to, is like, seeing like these families and stuff, like constantly go on vacation, they're constantly doing these extraordinary things, and then you try to look back in your life, and I think what I provide for my children is great. Like,
yeah.
Again,
And it is.
same perspective where we had, like, you couldn't tell me growing up that we were poor or
Yeah.
But again, I can see that in that same perspective, in this time, would probably be completely different.
Absolutely.
And it's knowing that it's again being content but not satisfied. Like, what I provide for my kids is more than what I had, which is already a stepping stone ahead.
Yeah.
But now we have to.
But I'm not.
building,
Yeah, I'm not satisfied with it.
And I'm
We
not
still gotta
satisfied.
keep
I want to
pushing.
get them more. And I admire those posts and those families that can do those extraordinary things. That's something to strive for. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to kill myself in the same aspect because I can't do it.
Yeah.
Knowing, the situation where I started from, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
There's a lot of variables to really take into consideration.
Dude, I remember this morning I was reading a post, and it was like, oh, IBM was created 104 years ago, and it gave you like this whole chart of all these top 500 companies. Amazon 24 years ago, Apple 44 years ago, whatever the case may be. I may be wrong on the dates, guys, but I don't have it in front of me, so don't sue me on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like the whole point it's like, yo, don't compare your day 2 to these companies.
Year
you know
24,
what I mean?
yeah.
Exactly. Because it's like you feel like you're falling short, but you're really not. Everybody starts off as a beginner. Everybody starts off, as a rookie. Everybody starts off as, the bottom of the barrel. Everybody. So it's like, you know what? Like, you'll be proud of your accomplishments. You know what I mean? Be proud and you know, and enjoy it, but also, you know, don't settle for it. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of people, like, they feel like, oh, you know what, if I'm not having 4 vacations a year, and you know,
failure of a life.
yeah, then that's it. I didn't like, I didn't have a successful year by those standards. But it's like, yeah, if you look at, you know, social media, it's like the highlight reels of highlight reels.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anybody post their failures in consistency where it's like, oh, you know what, I failed at this, I failed at that, I failed at this, I failed at that. No, so
Yeah.
it's like, don't be so hard on yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a father, like, it's even more of that, because you always want to do the most you can for your kids,
Of course.
of course. But you know, it doesn't mean that you're not doing enough. Just keep doing more, you know, a
Yeah.
little bit more every day, you know, and eventually you'll get to wherever it is that your goals are, you know.
Yeah. And that's where keeping that bubble in front of everything else.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, as long as those children are smiling, as long as your family,
Yeah, man.
that's all that really matters, and that's hard to almost accept. Again, especially with guys, especially with our pride, especially
Yeah,
with
man.
with again that not wanting to fail. Like, there's just no excuse. There's
Yeah, like, I gotta.
no,
make
I
it
should have made it
regardless of what-
happen, kind of thing. That's where you have to kind of keep your focus on. Where, okay, well, what does the family in front of you think of you?
Yeah.
You know, are you the crazy person because now, you know, they were happy and you just kept striving for something that, you know, sometimes it is out of range and out of your resources.
Yes.
And that's, it's okay to accept and still work towards
Yep.
at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not accepting defeat. It's more like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get there. But again, setting up the stage
Exactly.
for the future. Like, you're not going to get there, but again, maybe your son, your daughter,
Yeah.
the future is going to continue to build off of that, because you're going to instill that hard work. You know, it's an investment. It's like
Exactly.
stocks.
Yeah, it's like
you
stocks.
know, you're
Yeah.
not going to pay $5 and then expect it to go to $100 the next day. It would be
No,
nice,
It would be great.
but
Then I take a vacation.
it's not going to happen. But if that stock sits,
Exactly.
then over time you pass it to your son, your daughters, and they pass it, and then all of a sudden you got an Apple stock that, again, was in God knows what year, 1980, we'll just throw out a year, you know, was $5, and then now it's
Exactly.
worth millions. Like, that's the setup.
Exactly.
That's
That's the goal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you shouldn't, again, you should know your limits, but you gotta also push yourself.
yeah, you got to push.
Like,
Like,
don't be content. Like it's great to be happy. It's great to feel like you've accomplished a lot, because you should always celebrate your accomplishments. Because that's another thing too. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I bought a house, but it's not the best house. Or, oh, I got this car, but it's not the best car. It's like, do you know how many people are
Yeah.
still taking the bus? Do you know how many people don't have a
Mhm.
home? Like, you're ahead of so many other people. Like, again, don't, the highlight reel thing. Don't compare it. Don't feel like it's inadequate. It's something. It's something to be proud of. You know what I mean? I remember my first car. It was a 1994 Honda Civic. And when I got that car, I thought I won the lottery. Why? Because I was walking, I was taking the bus. You know, I mean, I had friends that would pick me up, and you know, fortunately, like I was always very blessed with friends that were very much like me. You know what I mean? Like, they were very like compassionate, understanding, empathetic. Like, they always wanted to help people out. They didn't mind picking me up and dropping me off. And I'm not talking about, like, you know, just when we went clubbing. Like, I'm talking about, like, if I was leaving work at 8:30 and they got off at 6, like, they would hang out, and I
Yeah.
appreciate those things. You know what I mean? But it's like, yo, when I got my first car, 1994 Civic,
over.
I was loving it. I thought I bought a Lambo. And to
I
me,
know the feeling.
to me, that was my Lambo. You know what I mean? And if I was going to compare it to anybody else's, then it obviously wouldn't be anything significant.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm comparing my 1994 Civic to Jay-Z's Bugatti, like, obviously
Yeah,
the Bugatti wins.
fall a
guys.
little
Like,
short, just a little.
yeah,
Not
but,
a lot.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, people have to feel like, you know, you have to enjoy your accomplishments. You have to want to know that you have to want what's good for you, appreciate what's in front of you, and strive for better. It's the best way I know to describe it.
It's tough. I mean, again, I'm going back to that single dad thing, and you know, to want all that and then to still balance out.
Oh man,
It's
that's
just,
the other part of it, like the financial.
and again,
part.
this takes nothing away from single moms. Let's not start a
Oh, yeah,
debate
yeah,
as
yeah.
to, well,
Like, who does
single moms
more?
do this,
No, no,
and
no,
like,
no, no.
okay, I
Yeah.
know, trust me.
Yeah,
I was raised
this
by
isn't
one.
even a
I know.
topic of an
Girl
argument.
power, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But again, this is about uncovering that male side of again, maybe men who again, not really celebrating that accomplishment of being single fathers. For them, it's just what they had to do.
Yeah.
You know, and same thing again for single moms.
Single
but
moms.
you know, I don't think dads or men in general look for that recognition. At least not the ones that I know that are
Yeah.
handling their business.
Same here.
They're not, looking for like, oh, hey, it's me taking care of my children.
Like, hey,
Like,
I'm doing my thing. Yeah.
I've never seen that as
Actually, quite
much.
the opposite, if I gotta say it.
Yeah, as much, things I've seen thrown their way or in that direction. I've never seen any crazy, flashy posts like, oh, hey, I'm a dad and I do. Like, even I don't. And, again, I'm just a normal dad taking care of my kids, but, I never thought to put like, oh, hey, this is my family. I'm here. Like, again, because it's what I have to do.
Exactly.
I'm the father.
I feel like if you have kids, it's like this isn't like a thing where like you can hang your hat on. Oh yeah, but I take care of my kids.
I
like,
raise my kids.
You're supposed to. Like
that's kind of the deal there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like you're not gonna get any extra like brownie points from it. Like like no, like dude, you're doing your job. Oh okay. Like perfect example. That's at my job. One of the parts guys, like he's an older gentleman. He's a great guy. I love him. But he always tells me, he's like, oh, hold on, I can't do two things at once. And whatever. So obviously, I break his, I break him in a little, yeah. So there was one day where he's like, you can't tell me what to do right now. And I'm like, it's a terrible thing. You're absolutely right. How dare I ask you to work at your job? I'm so wrong for that. You're right.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how I feel about like people who want recognition for being a father. Like, look, man, you're a dad. Like, you're supposed to do your job. Like, this is your job.
Yeah,
like, they didn't ask to come into this world. Like, that's on you. Like, well, I mean, that's on the two of you, technically. But, whatever. But, yeah, like, you can't want praise for doing what you're supposed to be doing. Is it right to get recognition? Yeah, it's good to get recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it, obviously, I'm pretty sure you're getting the recognition. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel the way I feel about Father's Day. Like, I'm grateful that I know strong mothers. I am grateful that I know moms that have done so much for their kids. And obviously, I'm not even trying to say that we even, because I personally don't feel that we compare to them. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Like, what they do and what we do, like, it's not close.
It's not, yeah.
It's not close. Like, even the best of dads, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that you come close to, like, your wifey. You know what I mean? And that's on that's not on like an offensive scale. It's just saying what it is.
It is what it is.
Like, a mother's love is going to be, it's unparalleled. You can't compare a mom's love to a dad's love. Like, the mom carried them for 9 months.
Yeah, that's a whole different connection.
You know what I mean? Like,
you can't,
that bond right there alone.
you can't replicate
over.
it. There's just no way physically or
Yeah.
even us to replicate it.
And yeah, like, I feel like moms, yeah, they get all the recognition in the world, and rightfully so. But again, like, like, should you really take the jabs at the dads on their days? Like,
Yeah, that's where I'm
that's
like.
where I'm like,
And that's my lobby up for the send off for the spike on the other side, because then I question, okay, so how much of that is them trying to change that same narrative that they feel has been pressed upon them?
okay.
Because again, I always try to put myself in other people's shoes and try to understand, okay, well, if you're doing this, like, why are you doing this? As flashy or as unnecessary as I may deem it, why
Gotcha.
do you feel like you have to do it? And then while we're talking about bias and we're talking about, what this perspective and the same walls we're trying to break, well, maybe those same conversation, that same negativity, for lack of better words, is what's I guess their attempt of trying to break that mold at the same time.
Yep.
Where it's like, okay, hey, I'm here, my kids.
Like-
This is normal, Hey world, there's fathers out there, and I try to think of, like, maybe that's what they're doing. As again, as annoying as I may say, like, dude, that's your job. At the same time, like, well, maybe they have a reason. Maybe they've heard so many conversations where, dads don't do this, dads don't do that, and they have to show face or at least somewhat represent the fathers that are there.
That do their due diligence and do their job.
Like you said, sometimes you got to post about it to know it exists.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I spun the conversation, but I try to spin it back the other way, where
Exactly.
hey, well, they might have a point too,
No, absolutely.
and I'll give them the benefit of doubt that that's
exactly
the reason.
why. I mean, I'm just saying, like, me personally, I'm like, can you wait till like tomorrow to do it, or do it like the day before, like right before, like literally? But like, come on,
Yeah.
man, like I just feel like it kind of takes away from like the really great dads. And look, if you want to knock on, the dads that aren't there or aren't great, then by all means do it. But I mean, you really gotta wait till Father's Day to take a jab at them, because then it's kind of like shining like a negative light on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just
It goes both ways.
it's situational. And
Yeah.
again, like I said, I definitely saw it less this year, so I definitely see a good trend happening.
Yeah. I'll have to wait till next year to see.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that number to 0. But again, this person did both ways, so if they stay consistent, I can't be mad at them if that's consistently.
I think it's a mutual friend.
It probably is the same person. So yeah, I think if I had seen, I guess, her posting one side of the story, and then us being in this position now, I would probably question and be like, okay, like why?
Like, where's that coming from?
Why are you doing
Like,
it? In a respectful way, and
course,
really try to understand the psychological aspect behind it. Like, why, and maybe uncover a story. Like, hey, what have you gone through that specifically just makes you
feel this type of way right here?
And, I already know this person's story, so I can understand the perspective already, but I give even more kudos to them that they can still play both sides of the field, even through the experiences they've gone through, which I appreciate.
No, of course. And look, you know what, man? Like, it's like I always say, like, you can have multiple people in the same room or raised in the same house and raised the exact same way, and it's like they're all different. You know what I mean? Because again, perspective. Like, I think you actually touched base on that in the first episode, and it was like, it's true. Like, you can grow up in the same household, same ways, same morals, same principles taught to you, ethics, all that, whatever, and you can grow up and be completely different people. You know what I mean? And it's not saying anything bad about you. It's just saying that maybe what you learned in the house wasn't what you learned outside of the house. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not what you brought into your life and while you were growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because eventually everybody grows up and everybody has to leave, like their house or whatever it is. And they have to have their own experiences. Even if you go to the same schools, like my experience probably wasn't the same as yours, despite the fact that we both grew up in the same
area.
Exactly. So it's like, so why is it that it's so much different? But that is where I think it's like those personal experiences are what like change you, you know what I mean? Or afflict you or give you like a different perspective from somebody else, or maybe change your views on the way that you were raised. Like things like that, I guess.
And getting deeper into just perspective and like that's a lot of variables, dude.
Yeah.
If you think about every little thing that we experience in life, and whether it's our environment, community, direct community, family, what we watch on TV, the music we hear, all those things affect how we're going to respond, what we're going to post. Like, that's insane.
That is insane, actually, especially when you put it like that.
To even take into account and your experiences, the friends you have, what all those relationships, what happens in the...
Yes.
That's an enormous amount of variables to even try to consider or figure out to why
right.
someone is that way.
You get a headache thinking about that.
You can. This is like, because you can start at day one. Like, it's as soon as you're out of that womb and your eyes are open, you're absorbing information.
Exactly.
It's like the Matrix. Those weird
binary
binary codes that are flowing through. You may not necessarily consciously know you're receiving that information, but you are subconsciously, and we've all probably looked up, those videos where things are being posted or as I said, podcasted or blasted through the radio, and then they affect you subconsciously without you knowing, and scientifically proven. Like, that's how crazy you can get if you want to try to figure out
that's
figure out
way
the
too
whys.
much. That's way too
so
much.
So hopefully,
information
sometimes when you ask that question, you get the
Imagine somebody whips out a list for you. It's like, here.
Well,
actually,
when I was a boy, like no, I want. No, just forget it. But that's how
you lost me. That's it.
That's how crazy life is, and a lot of stuff that we have to consider, and in the same respect, give ourselves credit for.
Yes.
Because if you're here and then you're a sound thinking individual, a sound acting individual, that's a lot of credit in itself.
In itself, yeah.
Not only now, specifically now with all the social media and the news and all the stuff that's being fed to you constantly, but again, still consider before all this got hyped, for us old people, 1990s, early 2000s, before all that craziness happened, we were still being affected, and that still has created us to be the adults that we are now.
Yes. But again, and this is a good reason to keep this podcast going, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that it's something that needs to be addressed, especially in men. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't start with men. Like, addressing it with men is great, but them teaching it to their kids, that's where it's really at, because they're the ones who are gonna eventually like break the traditional way of thinking about as a man. Like, oh, as a man I gotta do this, you know what I mean? And or as a man I shouldn't feel that, I, I, I gotta attest to this, man. Like, I think that now more than ever, like, I understand how important it is to be a good example to Matthew. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's still little, and you know, he's not 100% understanding everything, but it's like they really are sponges. Like, he learns
Yeah.
a lot. You know what I mean? He's very vocal. He's extremely animated. He loves to draw on everything, which is a problem all in itself. But
Your walls look nice, though. Your walls.
oh, it's the invisible marker. It only writes on that specific paper. Like, you can't
So you
like,
put the black light on it.
yeah, and then you see like little streaks all over. Yeah, no, like with him, like I want to make sure that, like, you know, he knows that it's okay to be vulnerable. Like, it's all right. Like, you don't have to like seclude those feelings and keep them in and like suppress them or bottle them in. It's like, no, no, no. Look, if you want to talk about something, talk about it. And I
Yeah.
feel that the best way to get over anything is to talk about it. Not talking about it is not going to make it all right. Like, not talking about it is going to make you build that resentment and that angst. And it's like, nah, man, look, let's break all this apart. If you're feeling some type of way about something, talk about it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to move forward.
I think so, and in the same respect, kind of why again I always feel that this conversation, this platform is all inclusive, because sometimes it's going to take the female perspective or the female approach to get
Yes.
us males and that father figure to understand that.
Yeah.
Again, like same way I feel about Father's Day. Sometimes I want to feel like a queen. Sometimes I want to
Yeah.
feel, that somebody's has their best interest, yes, for me, and will approach me as such,
Yes.
versus me, like, trying to pretend I'm all put together, me trying to pretend like I'm gonna get things done. And sometimes, that's the woman perspective, where you're like, hey, I see you working yourself in the ground.
Yeah, man.
So, do you want to slow down? Do you need help? Do you need help, with our kids, and touching on these aspects, and helping one another build each other up. Because again, we're very stubborn as men. I
Absolutely.
will not deny that in any sense. And sometimes, until again that piece of us, which is normally our significant other, or again our children, come to us with either a concern or an opportunity to grow, which I'll never decline.
Yeah.
We're sometimes, again, still full steam ahead, or very one-sided, where we might not get it until, again, we're shown, or until this conversation comes up. And this
Yeah.
conversation, again, we want to come not only just amongst men, but for those men, those fathers, to have with their significant other, where maybe they're hearing something like, hey, I don't know how to be emotional, I don't know, this is what I've kind of done, and maybe uncover some things that, again, I can't say I've explained my life to my wife.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's impossible for me to do
It
so.
is.
It's impossible for me to explain every action, why, sometimes I have a burst of anger, sometimes why I have a burst of, like, a panic of urgency, and that's going to be hard to cover, regardless of how BFF you think you
Yeah,
are
yeah,
with
yeah. No.
your significant other.
Absolutely. Because it's a difficult conversation. It's a very difficult conversation, especially for a man to, like, openly express how he feels and why it is that these, like, what's going on right now is bringing out this emotion, this response, due to something that obviously or may not have anything to do with that actual person, your
Exactly.
significant other, your children. It's like, maybe it brings back a trauma, and that's something else that a lot of men aren't really good with talking about. And I'll be honest with you, man. Look, there's times where there was one conversation that I remember I had with Kathy, and this is like, I think she was pregnant, and it was like 3 or 4 months in, and I was scrambling, like, to try to do everything that I could to to be like, to show her, like, yo, like, that's it, we're gonna be fine, because you always want to be that,
Yeah,
like,
that comfort.
like, don't worry about it, like, I put a mountain on my shoulders, I got it, and it's like sometimes you don't want them to see you, like, struggling, vulnerable, weak, like, because
Yeah.
it's gonna change their perspective. Maybe they're gonna be like, oh, he can't handle this. And that's honestly, that's how I feel that most men are raised.
Yeah.
And we had a very difficult conversation, and it took a lot of me for her to tell me, like, hey, look, you're doing too much, you need to relax, it's okay, like, we're gonna be fine, you're doing a phenomenal job, but you're hurting yourself more.
Yep.
And it's gonna do more damage long term from what you're doing right now. Like, take a break, relax, catch your breath, rebalance, recenter yourself, and I'll never forget it. Like, she doesn't even know this, but, like, I went to go take a shower, and the reason that I went to go take a shower was because, I started crying.
Yeah. And that
because it hit home. I'm like, oh my gosh, she gets it. Like
Yeah.
she's on my side about this. Like, it's not me against her. It's not me having to prove something to her. It's me showing her, like, I can try to do as much as I can, but it was her holding me up and be like, look, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're not gonna fall. We're not gonna fail. You're doing great. And again, a simple reassurance, but it's the way that she approached the conversation that hit home for me, because I'm like, oh my God, why did I even feel like I had to go that far above and beyond all the time to constantly like basically like prove myself to her. She clearly knows that I'm a good man. Like, she knows that I'm gonna be a good father. Like, she's a teammate. She's on my side about this. She's not against me. And I'll never forget it. I went into the bathroom, I started crying, I was taking a shower, and when I came out, she made dinner. And she was like, oh, she didn't make dinner, I'm lying. She ordered Domino's. No, not Domino's.
I was hoping it was Wendy's. We didn't know Wendy's plug.
I can't remember. I think it was Anthony's coal-fired pizza, because we used to, when she found out she was pregnant, we were living in Fairlawn at the time. And then and I remember she told me, she's like, look, I ordered food. She served me a glass of wine, and she was like, look, just relax. Oh, it was like
You
wine
get
and
you
dine.
get a pedicure too?
I actually would have liked that. But no, I think at that point, like, she was very uncomfortable. The belly was growing, so I don't think I could have pushed it for that. But yeah, man, like, again, it's the principles of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, difficult conversations, they usually lead to good things.
Yeah.
And again, not every relationship is, there's no highlight reel to a relationship. You know what I mean? I mean, there is, but it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to the highlight reel without going through the
all
storms.
that other stuff in
you
between.
know?
It's just you can't. And again, I've had the same stories where again, just the conversation changes, just those pressures you feel, and I know that crying you felt in that shower, dude. I can't tell you how many times
dude,
that I've done it, and it's literally like a crazy amount. Like, I'm about to just let it go right
Yes.
now, and I need another release, But all that pressure, all that build up, like, you can like almost feel it in your chest just mentioning it.
Yeah.
And the way that all comes out, just from a simple like, yo, you're good. You're doing
like,
enough.
Yeah.
And again, that's again more of those variables. Like, what plugs that into our head? What makes all of that get to the point where here we are in 2020, feeling that way,
And still can't even discuss it without feeling like I'm somewhat of either failing or I'm weak or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's just it's a wild mentality that
Exactly.
obviously is going to take, just like everything else, some time to kind of break through and
Yes.
normalize in a way where hopefully it's easier for men to go, to their significant other, or again to their own male friends, and
Yes.
again break down, like, sorry, like, it's not going to be all NFL, NBA.
Exactly.
Did you see that car? Like, guys, we have to be our own support system in a way where, hey, it's just like girls are. Again, kind of always kind of
On the back and forth.
show a
but-
parallel.
but
That's
it
what
is-
girls do all the time, man.
Yes, but look at how good it works.
And it works pretty well
Like,
for the most part.
yeah.
And guys, not to screw it. To sensitize it in a way, because again, that's always kind of associated with like female behavior
And tendencies, yes.
and tendencies and stuff like that.
But
But,
it's not the
hey,
case.
like, sometimes you need to reach out to your boy, like, yo, I don't know what I'm gonna do, or
I'm stressed out about this.
and even
yeah.
again, some guy aspect of it will be like, yo, dude, you're fine, like,
Yeah.
and again, it's just being comfortable, just even getting there to being able to acknowledge,
Yes.
like, yo, am I going crazy, or am I really not doing enough?
Like, no, dude, and you know what? You're absolutely right with that, because it's true. Like, and this is like from past experiences. Like, I remember I would get with guys, but I could never remember like an actual conversation about emotions.
Nope. Either.
I can't. Like, up until recently.
Not until like the conversations that we've had.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, we can actually sit down and like dive deep into it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like, let's be real. It's sports, it's cars, it's women,
Video games.
It's video games, it's things of that nature. But to be fair, like, I've never even had those conversations prior to, like, maybe like outside of us. I think I've had one conversation with someone else where it was like, hey man, look, I really don't feel like right. Like, I still feel like not enough. Like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like, all this pressure, and again, difficult conversation to have, especially, with other men.
Yeah.
You know, because they're gonna, you know, there's gonna be the one that's cracking a joke. Oh, you're being a girl. Toughen up, or you know,
Yeah,
that.
it happens.
And it's like, yeah, I am trying to get this off my chest so that I don't go home and then take it out on my wife and, you know, feel like she's against me or feel like, you know, whatever. Whereas if I have the conversation with, you know, the guys, it's like, yo, dude, like, relax, man. Like, yo, you're still doing great. You know, you're taking care of your kid. You're doing this. You're providing. You're on top of your A game. Like, yeah, you're probably tired. Like, go home, get some sleep. How about that? You know, take a day off. Things like that. But instead of, you know, I don't want to say demonizing, but instead of making light of someone who's actually trying to have like emotions and show a moment of, you know, sensitivity, like instead of beating him down, like why can't you just like pick him back up and put him back up on his mountain?
And not even that, because again, I don't want to. At the same time, I don't want to give anybody homework, but
Yeah,
sometimes, at the minimum, all you have to do is be there and listen.
And listen.
Because sometimes, again, I can recall conversations I've had, and I don't know what to do.
And it's like,
I can offer my prayers. You know, I can offer, you know, to pay the bill for the food that we had, but I don't have the answers to, you know, the situation because maybe I haven't been there. But again, just reassuring them of the person that they are.
yeah.
And listening to them and letting them vent and letting them cry and letting them get whatever they have off their chest off so that they can then go back and continue to do what they do
man.
is just as important as trying to figure out the actual answer and provide it to them.
Yeah. Because look, a lot of people, you're not going to have a perfect answer. You're right.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a
99%
perfect
of the
answer.
time you're not because you'll never emulate anybody else's situation.
Exactly. And you're going to always be caught off guard by it. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, what? You guys are having problems? Like, wait, what? You feel like this? Why? Like, no. You know, everything looks so great on the outside. But, you know, it's true. It's like, maybe sometimes you don't even need to say a word. Like, you know, hey, man, look, I feel like I'm going through something, you know, whatever. You know, I need to vent. And, you know, you can vent and, you know, you guys could play pool, you know, have a few drinks, whatever the case may be. But as long as they get it off their chest, that helps a lot, too.
Dude, that's underrated.
Absolutely.
It's completely
Absolutely.
underrated. I'll say it again. It's underrated.
Yep.
Because again, I feel like, and I felt this way for, you know, some time because I have a female best friend, and you know I have my wife, who again, we just don't. It's impossible to really say you've covered everything. Like I can't cover all my life experiences with my wife. Again, it'll come up in periods and pockets, and when that time comes, is normally when the conversation comes.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of the times I remember like just not having that outlet. I would always see her vent to her friends, and that's again something she's built up since maybe high school. Whenever they became what they were,
Yeah, they're like besties.
Yeah,
like, this is like
they're like sorority sisters without the housing fraternity, you know, and you know, and you know, in my coming up, you know, I just haven't been able to establish that same strong and long-term bond with a male where I have a best friend who is in third grade, but again, though she has a very different perspective than a lot of other females that I do know, it's still not that guy perspective. Where again they can somewhat be on the same wavelength. Again, maybe not every single variable is checked and every single situation checked, but at least they kind of understand, like they're not going to question why I think that way. They're kind of like, okay, well, I already know where he's coming from.
It's like they can't walk in your shoes, but maybe they're like walking right next to you. You know what I mean? Like it's not walking the exact same path, but like as long as like you're somewhere in the area, I guess it's like, you know.
Yeah, and not having that for some time, it weighs on you because a lot of that stuff builds in. Not having that outlet, and again, it's not that you don't trust, and it's not to make light of any other friendship or relationship that you have, but some things you just come out in different ways.
Yeah.
And until that door is open, until you see that oh, can I say this? You don't know. You don't go for it. I know so many times I was kind of like, I want to say something, but
then you're like, should
I?
This
is not the time right now, you know, or this is, you know, let me, you know, you hold off, you keep it moving.
Yeah.
Typical guy stuff.
Exactly.
To say
Put
the
it
least.
It's like, I'll get to that later.
But that ate at me for a while, and I guess until we got to this age where I guess everybody started having kids, everybody started having,
it's different,
you know, wives, fiancés, and started being in the same boat where we're kind of like, hey, you dealing with the same thing? Because like she did that thing, right? And you know, and that kind of opens it up, and you know, I don't know how many husband baby father guy cliques there are that talk about general, but I don't think there's many.
I don't think there's many at all.
Like,
I mean, look, out of all the guy groups that I've ever been a part of or involved in or anything like that, I gotta say, none.
you have zero.
None.
There's zero AAA for fathers slash dads. You know, that's crazy.
It is. But look, that's the whole, that's the other side of it. It's like, why does it have to be like that? Like, why is that so like commonplace? Like, why is that so normal, or normalized rather? Like, it's like, oh yeah, but guys don't talk about their emotions. Like, maybe we want to.
Maybe we do.
Like, it'd be nice to get this off my chest. You know, like,
Yeah, that's the mind-boggling thing in a sense. And again, it's part of all this, part of what we're doing and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to establish and change the conversation, change the perspective, and humanize males.
yeah. Like everybody always like puts males up on like a godly pedestal. It's like, you know, you got to be Zeus all the time. It's like,
we ain't ish, as they say.
yeah, it's like, you know, sometimes I just want to be the farmer up the road. Like, I don't need to be on the Apollo's mountain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and I think that comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of stuff that, again, that's just put out there for no reason.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I guess it was so normal back in the day. You know what I mean? And then
it is, and
people don't want to like change. You know.
Yeah, change with the times. Again, that came with, you know, women, you know, not having rights. Again, that's
exactly, like, you know.
Again, stages in time, phases in time.
But now
now's not the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not that time. Like,
so really, again, and I think it's just breaking that mold and entertaining that conversation where hopefully somebody else hears and like, yeah, you're right, Ralph. You're right, Dom.
Like, yeah, you know what? Like, I want to give a shout out to them too, because like, yo, you know what? I know that there's people out there that are hearing this. And they're like, damn, you know what? I really do wish that, like, I could, you know, talk about, like, certain things, like, you know, or give examples. And honestly, this is your platform. Guys, girls, obviously, too, whoever wants to chime in. But if you feel like you have a topic that you want to talk about or you don't want to say it out loud, by all means, you guys are more than welcome to send us private messages, emails, anything you guys want in total confidentiality, and we'll bring it up. We'll address it. We'll talk about it here.
I think opening it, because again, I don't want it to just be like, you know, stuff that we're going through, because obviously that's still relevant. We're dads.
No, of course, yeah.
But you know, I'm always curious to hear that question that maybe I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe because you weren't put in that situation.
Exactly, and maybe, you know, again, I'll have my own perspective. Ralph will have his, and you know, offer some insight. Obviously, we're not going to be able to cover again all check boxes and things of that based off of what you're specifically going through. But again, we have the social media. I think at a minimum, we'll probably do every other day. You know, we'll just put up that question thing on IG. Like, here, ask a question. Go ahead and put some feedback. We don't mention names. You've seen the last couple episodes. We don't mention anybody's name. We're not trying to blow up the spot. We're just trying to bring the conversation up front so that it can be heard, it can be thought about, it can be discussed, and it can be released.
Yes.
We have Instagram. We have our email. All that. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll post in the description, or it's already there, most likely. I've been doing it since day one. But if you're hearing this, I believe it's callingalldadspodcast@gmail.com.
It is.
IG is, again, at callingaldads. Again, we're going to put that question. Feel free to DM us. Again, we're not blowing up anybody's spot.
Yeah.
We're more about just allowing the conversation to be present.
Yeah. Because, again, what we experience isn't what somebody else might be going through. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that it deserves any less attention. If anything, it deserves more. You know what I mean? Like, we want to make sure that all topics are covered here, where people can start feeling more comfortable and open about addressing how they're handling things or how they're not handling things, or how they feel personally. You know, I feel that that's the best way to get things out, especially when you talk about it. I mean, me personally, whenever I'm going through something, once I talk about it, it kind of feels like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it gets 100% better the next day. It's not a
it's not, but it's still a release. It's like, you know, you're letting a little bit of the water off the top of the cup, so it's not full again.
Exactly.
So again, I think specifically want to ask and challenge you guys to be interactive. Ask us those questions again, in full confidentiality and full autonomy. Again, we just want to talk about more, to be able to touch on more, and to hopefully give you guys some more insight on different perspectives. Again, me and Ralph don't live the same life.
Yeah.
We definitely plan on having, some of our other dad friends here, and kind of continue to build different interaction, different perspective, and hopefully build an encyclopedia, an audio encyclopedia,
Yeah.
a video encyclopedia of just a whole bunch of information that may not make sense to you in episode 1, but episode 15, that there's just something there that
Yeah.
that hits, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
Absolutely. I'm happy
Wrap
to
that
be
up.
here.
We're under an hour. This one's gonna be under an hour. Somebody
Yeah.
gave me some slack. I posted episode 2. I was like, we're under an hour, and it was like an hour and 2 minutes. It was like 62 minutes. So I'm gonna make sure we're under an hour. Right now we're at about 56 minutes, and that's without the editing. So we're good. We should definitely be clear. But thank you guys for listening. Again, please be interactive. Trust us. I guess I'm gonna ask you. And it's weird for people to do that, but
Yeah.
again, we really want this to be a platform, and we keep saying it sounds probably annoying by now, but we really want this to be a platform of discussion, again, to really highlight the male perspective, the dad perspective, but
Yeah.
also, again, females out there, you want to know why X, Y, and Z is doing this.
Yes.
You have some guys who, honestly, I've never shied away from saying guys are
This
not
is
doing the
what it
right
is,
thing.
yeah.
That's what it is. And hopefully, again, in the same perspective, we can give you our perspective as to what we think these females are doing and
Yeah.
things of that nature. Again, it's full circle. Let's have fun. Let's educate ourselves, and let's vent a little. That's what I'm here for.
Let's just change the game a little. You know what I mean? I want to change the views. I don't want it to be something where, again, guys have to be all perfect and, all macho. Like, it's all right to have a vulnerable moment, man. Trust me. Look, I'll be the first one to admit it. I've had my vulnerable
Stay away from
moments.
those stuff commercials. I'm Dom. He's Ralph. This is Calling All Dads, episode 3. Thank you guys for the love and support as always, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you guys again, man. We'll see you
Later.
next week.